Emily Davenport, and I work as an AMC Outdoor guide at the Highlands Center in Crawford Notch. In this video, I'm going to go over the basics of how to use a topographic map to navigate while you're on a hike. A topographic map is a two-dimensional model for our three-dimensional world. It shows the elevation of geographical features like a mountain or valley through contour lines, which I'll explain more in a minute. It also has other important information such as where tent sites are and the routes of trails. Many hikers use GPS units or their phones to navigate in the backcountry, but those devices aren't always reliable because they can run out of battery or not portray accurate information in real time. That's why it's so important to always bring a topographic map on your hike and know how to use it. An important area of a typical map is the legend. Legends differ from map to map, but generally it's good to find a map that includes information about the age of the map, including any updates. Age of the map is important because it can help determine how accurate a map might be. Time changes things, therefore, the older the map, the more chances the map less accurately reflects the real world. For example, a road or trail might be relocated, or a landslide could have removed an important landmark. Also to note on the legend is the compass rose and where north is located on the map. Also, an important feature is the scale of the map. If the ratio of the scale is smaller, like 1 to 12,000, it'll show a smaller area with more detail than a map with a larger ratio like 1 to 40,000, which shows a larger area with less detail. Using scale, we can determine how many inches on the map equals 1 mile, which is a helpful tool in route planning. Other important information on the legend is the contour interval. So for my map, it's 100 feet, and also declination information. So for here in New Hampshire, it's 15 degrees west. This is best used with compass navigation. Other important symbols we're seeing on this legend are symbols like shelters, tent sites, huts, lodges, and ranger stations. It's important to do some research and be familiar with what resources you can find at each of these places on the map, and also be aware of fees, reservation requirements, and seasonal closures. And finally, the legend gives us a key to colors of the map. Each map maker makes different choices about what each color represents, so it's always good to check your legend on each map. On my AMC map, yellow is federal land. It's important to understand who the land managing agency is for the area you're recreating. Regulations and restrictions may differ on different land management areas. Green on my map is denoting wilderness areas, which is also a very important factor to understand when planning a hike in the White Mountains or elsewhere in other wilderness areas. Wilderness areas have minimal trail work and signage, and trails in these areas can at times be extremely hard to follow. Wilderness areas were designated with the intent to be an area with limited human influence, and it is a more wild experience for those seeking to recreate here. Another important color to note is the color purple. Purple on my map is showing where the alpine zone is, or the area where trees stop growing. This is also helpful to note when planning a route. Though the alpine zone is a beautiful area to hike through, it is more exposed and can be dangerous in inclement weather. My map continues to show other important colors like blue for water sources and red for trails. Contour lines are the brown lines that are all over the map. Contour lines help create a three-dimensional representation of the Earth's landscape on the two-dimensional map surface. From the contour lines, we can determine the steepness of a trail, the grade at which a river flows through a valley, a flat area which might be suitable for a pristine campsite, or a steep cliff that will offer a beautiful view. The same elevation is represented at any given point along a single contour line. To help find certain points in elevation, we can find what is called index contours. Index contours are drawn with a slightly thicker line and are every 5 contour lines. They are also the only lines that have the elevation written on the line itself. These can be helpful to easily determine if you are losing or gaining elevation across multiple contour lines, or can quickly estimate elevation on a given trail. For example, we can see that we are gaining elevation here rapidly. Using contour lines, we can also understand the shape and steepness of terrain. Every map has a contour interval, which is the distance between each contour line. For my map here, as listed in the legend, it's 100 feet. This means that there is a vertical distance of 100 feet between a contour line and the one next to it. The first step towards being able to interpret contour lines is to realize the distance between a contour line and its neighbor determine the steepness of a slope. Remember that at any point on each contour line, it is the same elevation. That never changes. However, if one line is close to another, then the elevation has gone up by 2 intervals in a relatively short horizontal distance. I would be gaining 100 feet of elevation very quickly. That would mean the ground is steeper than it is elsewhere. Conversely, if 2 contour lines are far apart, that means the elevation does not change very much, or the land is flatter here than in other areas. Interpreting steepness of a given trail is important in planning out your route on a hike. You can be better prepared and get a sense if this would be an appropriate hike for your ability levels, and it can also help determine timing. The steeper the trail, the more slowly people usually hike. Great example of this is Falling Waters Trail, a popular trail going up to Franconia Ridge. While this trail is very beautiful, it is very steep and not for inexperienced hikers. Keep in mind that often it takes just as long to descend a trail as it does to ascend a trail, especially in the White Mountains. If you can go up a steep trail rather than down it, sometimes it can be a safer route to avoid slips, trips, and falls. These are the basics of how to read a topographic map. If you want more information on how to navigate in the backcountry, find one of our guided outdoor adventures or visit us at outdoors.org.